Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Steve Samikinu with AmTab. We manufacture, design, and furnish K through 12 dining commons and K through 12 food court furniture. Thank you very much to Meteor Education and Kim Bolser and Sebastian Sanchez and the entire team for hosting us. Very happy to be here on behalf of AmTab. Also joined by Kearn Halls with ingenious culinary concepts. We tremendously have a lot of respect for Kearn Halls and his team. Definitely K through 12 food services experts across the country. So the three of us combined have done a lot of great work together to really modernize and create a lot of great environments, particularly in the K through 12 dining commons food court spaces. A little bit about AmTab. Let's move on to the next slide. We're founded in 1958. We're located right outside Chicago, Illinois, right next to O'Hare. If you're ever in the area, please come visit us. We love hosting folks, good American manufacturing, take a lot of pride in our workmanship and so on and so forth. We've had several visitors come through before everything hit with this pandemic. But love to have all of you over whenever you're in the area. We are well known in the space. We create modern, fun, popular K through 12 dining commons and K through 12 food courts. Currently today, we're the largest and strongest supplier in this space, really due to our innovation, our colors, some of the different options, so on and so forth, that we'll get into a little bit of detail. We have a very strong partnership with Meteor Education and ingenious culinary concepts, as I had mentioned earlier. I know we're all stuck at home a little bit, and with the Last Dance and the sports going on, I put a little bit of a shout out there to the Chicago Bulls. 2020 goal aspiration, obviously, hopefully brings back some good memories. At least it did for us. Just how great they were and the teamwork, and a little goal aspiration for us as well as we work through this challenging times for everybody. So I'll start out with just some high level data, answering the why and what really drives us. So a few data points here. Before AmTab projects, we've done some student surveys on our own. 68% of students in our surveys think lunch period is not as relaxing or fun as it could be. Typically, they're not looking forward to it as much. Historically, perhaps the way I grew up, we have that dining commons area has been oak colored tables with a lot of black rectangles. Typically get 10, 15 minutes to eat maximum, and then we move on to the next thing. And that space has tremendously changed today. So if we look at the second data point, 70% of students, ballpark, in our surveys feel rushed and do not have enough time to really enjoy their lunch period. And then finally, school districts often have schools with low participation rates, sometimes as low as even 25% in some of the areas we're seeing. So that's kind of a backdrop to why we do what we do. So how do we really build our methodology to create these high impact spaces? Really a lot of school district collaboration and dealer partner relationships. We do a lot of listening. So we're in contact with school leaders to understand the ongoing needs. Yesterday's needs are different than today's needs. And so we always are in constant communication, building communication channels, events, virtual expos like this, where we'll open up the floor. We really take to heart all the feedback that you all give us, and then we put together programs and events to help all of the school nutrition services folks and these programs to be successful. And we also, I want to throw in one dynamic, and we really try to look at our students as customers and as clients. A lot of us go out to dinner or eat, and we might not go to the same place. I know my wife and I, we try to get out. We have 4 boys. Oldest is 7. We got twins who are 5, and the youngest is 2.5. So, side note, it's a crazy house, particularly nowadays when we work from home. But we really try to put ourselves in those shoes of the end user, which is students, and we look at them as clients. We have to build an attractive environment for them to keep coming and enjoying themselves. And the more successful we are in resonating that whole dining common space to them, all of us as a program will be very successful. So I'm going to take a minute here and hold on a second. Let me go back. I'm going to play a short video of one of the events that we hosted. So I hope that played well. Did everyone get a chance to see that? Okay, good.
It worked.
Thank you, Kim. So let me go back to the, so that's really how we built our methodology, is hearing from end users, all of you out there who are in charge of the school districts, our dealer partners, and so on and so forth, to really build our methodology. So we really try to take a space right here where my mouse is, a current space that's old, perhaps not engaging and inspiring. We work collaboratively with our dealer partners and our school districts to design, specifically manufacture and furnish a space that is really lively. So our goals are really to increase participation and revenue for our partners, complete client satisfaction. By client, I mean students, making sure they're happy and engaged, increase efficiency and effectiveness in that dining commons area. So here's another metric that we tailor our designs to, is if it takes a kid 15 minutes to go through the line, and then he or she only has ballpark 10 to 15 minutes to eat, versus if we can cut that line time and that efficiency traffic flow in half to 6-7 minutes per se, that gives additional time for them to relax, enjoy their time during that already rushed time as well. And we've also seen school district events and so on and so forth really increase networking connections during that time. So 3 high-level trends that we're seeing in the K through 12 dining commons and food court space. Definitely a lot of colors and logos. No longer oak and walnut color tables or rectangles. A lot of logos, a lot of customization. So you see some custom logos that our design team has put together. 2-color top and bottom stools. We have high tops, collaboration tables, conversation tables, booths with upholstery and soft seating included. So lots of colors, lots of logos, lots of different seating styles and heights. So we can have lower conversation tables, higher collaboration tables, standing height tables, booths, along with our mobile cafeteria tables. And then finally, really to tie that all in is emphasis on graphics and decor as well. So let me take a few minutes really quickly to highlight some of our main trends in terms of product categories. Booths are very popular to incorporate into our spaces. Really give it a cafe commons, restaurant, retail type feel to the environment. So here's a project we did in Texas. They have 60 booth sets in there, mixed in with some other tables. So really drive home that restaurant type feel as well. We have our cafeteria tables that are mobile. A lot of times we try to incorporate as many colors and logos as possible. Many times these spaces are also used for multi-purpose spaces, wrestling matches after school, bus pickups, and so on and so forth. So depending on the specific need of the school and the school district, we will tailor solutions that fit, that are modern and colorful and fun as well. High top tables are a big trend. We do a lot of those high top tables mixed in, give that bistro feel. And then specifically tailored to some of the younger schools, the elementary, which is one of the questions that came up. We also do a lot of mobile convertible benches in those spaces, because these are multi-purpose. Not only can you use them here for a dining application, but also an auditorium style seating, testing, so on and so forth, and you can fit a bunch of elementary kids. So mixing in some of these convertible benches into the design, specifically for that elementary group or that younger group, has also resonated well. Not just elementary, it can apply to middle school and high school as well, but particularly elementary, we see a lot of incorporation of these type of units. So talking about the wall graphics, we have a lot of versatility with our design team. So here are some wall graphics here. These are heat treated. We have some PVC signs that we made up here. I'm circling that. This graphic with the C and H, that has LED lights in the back. That's a standoff of the wall. Over here on the top right, we can do hanging signs from the ceiling. So we can really put some of that elements together. Looking closely here where my mouse is, if there's pillars or columns, we can also wrap those or specifically tailor here to school colors where I'm circling. And then finally on the bottom right there, acoustical panels that we can print on. So we have full versatility on the graphics and interior signage, and we will design a very strong, powerful space. Depending on the budget, we can come up with a lot of different solutions for your review to really help modernize that space. Moving on, here's some dining common spaces that we've done. So rectangle, oak colored tables on the top left. If you look at the bottom, nice colorful wall graphics, booths, high tops, circular tables. This particular space is used for wrestling after school, so we built a lot of mobile tables in there as well. Moving on, here's an elementary school. Most of the elementary schools, and I included this because we were specifically asked by one of our attendees. So we can still make this nice and colorful, booths on the sides, round tables. This is all standard height, so there's not a high tops. And usually in the middle schools and high schools, we're seeing a lot of high tops, but we can still come up with some nice decor and a mix and match of logos and colors for an elementary application as well. And then here's a high school that we were able to work on. If you look on the left, rectangle tables with stools, and we're able to add some collaboration tables, conversation tables, different high tops, and some soft seating in that environment as well to go along with the graphics. A lot of schools are building new construction. So these are specific Meteor projects that we worked on. This is a Myrtle Beach school that we did, booths and mobile tables and so on and so forth. A very nice project, very colorful school. Here's another Meteor project.
What age range are those, Steve?
This right here is elementary.
That's what I thought. It looked like young kids.
Yep. And then here we have another school as well, which is a Meteor project, new construction, very strong designs around, and then a lot of versatility in the furniture as well. And then let's go back. So answering the why again, after AmTab projects, student participation in breakfast and lunch programs rises on average of 15% to 25%, raising revenue. So more kids are participating. We've seen cafeteria areas where they've had 250 kids per lunch serving, and then after a modernization project with all of us, 350 kids are participating in those programs. Traffic flow efficiency, which I alluded to earlier, also is able to go up, and then student surveys as well. 97%. I don't know about, I can't speak to the other 3%. Maybe they abstained from the vote. But 97% of students after our post-project surveys say they love their cafeteria. And one of the things we really keep into mind what this has for the students. And that's really our client base when we design these spaces in collaboration with Meteor, ICC, and all of you as district leaders. Really try to work with all of you to create a live and engaging space. And so far, all of our projects have resulted in a net increase in participation in these programs. And we've had a lot of positive news. I've had school teachers, if I'm at an expo somewhere, a school teacher will walk up and say, "Hey, did you redo this project? Did you guys do this project at our middle school?" And if yes, I'll say yes. And they'll say, "Oh, my daughter loves this school, what you guys did there." And they're Instagramming and tweeting and posting all kinds of things. And that's really, we had a principal contact us and said that one of her students, one of the schools in their district redid their cafe space with AmTab, and they're interested in working with us and trying to do the same thing. So those are the things that really drive us, is that buzz and really creating an impact. And it really has a strong return on investment for all of us. With that, I'll hand it off to my colleague, Kearn Halls.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Well, presentation right here. All righty, thank you for having me. So my name is Kearn Halls, and I'll give you a little quick background about myself. I was in the military for 8.5 years as culinary specialist, and worked at Walt Disney World managing 2 restaurants for that did about $18 million in sales. One of the great things I learned about being at Walt Disney World was just innovation. So that really sparked my interest, especially when I transitioned to working at Orange County Public Schools in Orlando, Florida. At that time, we were about I think it's 10th largest school district at the time. I was a senior manager, so I was in charge of marketing, special projects, and I managed about 23 high schools. When I first got there, we had about 18 of 19 schools in the red where we weren't making any money. And by the time we had turned around in 3 years, we had a great team of managers that 22 of 23 schools were in the Black and making money. So that was something that was really great. And we increased high school participation by 46% in 3 years. So one of the things that I really love about working in schools, I'm really student focused as a company, as Ingenious Culinary Concepts, and partnering with Meteor and AmTab, is that I bring to the table that I really are involved in students' lives. So we have probably over 3,000 hours of focus groups where we just talk to students and see what's going on. So for example, we knew some years ago when students were leaving Facebook and transitioning over to other social media platforms, just by talking to them and seeing what's going on. So we always keep our ear to the street and see what's great. And that's one of the things about partnering with Meteor and AmTab, is that they're up cutting edge and they can actually, pivot and try to see what's the needs right now of the current students. The great thing about doing this after a lot of these years of working in school food service is getting the chance and the ability to really provide great services to students, because sometimes we have to try to get ahead of our students. As much technology changes, as school food service providers, we have to have great services. We have to see how we can have excellent customer service and just try to be ahead of them on a daily basis. So like Steve said, growing up in school, we had the old cafeteria tables. Well, that's not going to work anymore, right? We got to figure out and see how are we going to be ahead of the curve. Of some of those things that people are just buying the same old tables and just replace them because they just want to do it. Well, I would say it's like, do you want to? That's the reason why that we're in cars now. We're not riding a horse and buggies on the highways, right? We have to kind of change and see what's going on and move with the changes, because if you don't adapt to those changes, your customers and your students are going to leave you behind. So going into a lot of the projects, when as a consulting company, we would come in and consult with a lot of school districts and tell them what they need to do. And then until we formed this partnership with Meteor and AmTab, we just say, you know what, how can we have an added value service to them? So I come in from having a lot of experience on the K through 12 of managing schools. And I give you a quick example. I had a high school with a principal that we had 3,500 students and we only had 7 lunch lines. So we had to figure out how to really increase the capacity at those schools. So having 3,500 students, the principal wouldn't budge, and we only had 1 lunch at 40 minutes, mind you. So what we had to do is that I opened up literally 10 more carts, hired a bunch of 3-hour people, and for the first time in history, that students started generating positive income. So I keep all those things in mind when we go into dealing with a lot of schools. So this school here in Lee County, picture, this school, by the way, produced a lot of famous NFL players. So it was really important that we did this over correctly. So one of the great things, this is the after picture, we did designs and also seating, is that when you start taking on a project, whether it be funding or whatever you want to do, you don't have to replace your whole entire cafeteria. In this cafeteria, we used probably about 50-50 mixed usage of new furniture and old furniture, but you still got the look of having a new cafeteria. One of the things that really worked for well after doing that cafeteria, literally the next day when we did this, lunches went up by 175 lunches the next day. And one of the quotes in the cafeteria says, "We feel like a real part of the school, So that cafeteria was really important, not just only for just getting more students to eat, but it's also from a moral support too as well. We did another project in another part of Florida where one of the great things too is working with AmTab and Meteor is that we are not traditional in the sense that we need to wait till the summer to do projects. If you give us a weekend and a date, we can literally come in on Friday after lunch and be walking out the door on Sunday after, you get done Sunday watching football, whatever, and we'll be done in the school. So that way it kind of alleviates that rush of the summer rush from a manufacturing standpoint where everyone's trying to do it. Or you look at a Christmas break or Thanksgiving break or spring break, there are some options that you have there to make sure that you can get these projects done as well. Also with this, the school had a lot of old blinds, and they're just really, I call them dust collectors, right? And you see there are a lot of trophies from a lot of sports they had. We looked at and we just wrapped the windows, added some natural light to come in, but also we used vinyl wrap, the same kind of wrap that you use on a car. And so inside you have some natural light come in, and then you have your logo to decorate your cafeteria as well when you do this. This other school is Cypress Creek High School. This actually used to be one of my schools I was responsible for. This is before look and then after look in the school. of how the cafeteria got turned into a food court and add additional lines and increase revenue in that school as well. So breakfast went up 17%, lunch went up 28%, free lunch, and paid lunch went up 39%. So as you see the data that Steve was talking about earlier, on average, you'll see schools go up to between 15 and 25%. I've seen schools even go up more just by creating a friendly environment. Again, I was thinking about one school we were redoing on a Friday afternoon. We were starting, and school wasn't out as yet, obviously, because it was just after lunch. And we started working on the school. And one of the students came by and Snapchat the video and sent out to the friends. And then if you look at, I was around there just helping with the install, just trying to learn. And literally 10 minutes later, a lot of students were coming to the windows and putting their hands in the window, trying to look in. And that quick is spread through social media. And within an hour, a lot of students came by. And since you have new seating, people have to mark their new territory. So that's one of the good, things that happen is that they have to reestablish their territory. So students were pointing to the window saying, that's gonna be my seat, that's my seat. Of course, at different schools, they have especially at high schools, they can sit where they want to. So they have the seniors have first dibs and they try to mark their territory. This is another project out in Oklahoma where it's really important. One of the third things is getting students involved. So we kind of did a layout on the screen. You can see the seating layout. And then we also had a layout for the graphics. And we had the students to really just walk them through the process of what everything looks like. And so the students actually renamed part of the cafeteria and really just got involved in the whole process. And it was just amazing how refreshing it was in giving these students at this school. The school was built like in 1940. So it was a lot of work that we had to do to the school to turn it around on one of the summer projects. This is like basically looking at the cafeteria before looking at with a serving line. They literally only had 2 serving lines. They came in and came out. After we got done, we built 6 point of sale. So we increased the amount of students that can go through quickly and also made sure that we had more students eating in a timely fashion. So the same look from the back of the cafeteria. We did some storefront windows, but they wanted all new furniture in this school and all new design, and it was really great. One of the things too as well, when things like this happen, is that the media attention is that now you have a story to tell about your district of here's what food service is doing to the cafeterias as well. So now you have a story to tell and making sure that all the students are involved as well as the media. And the media came out, shot some video. And then funny thing about it, a lot of former students, which are now probably my age or older, were saying, why didn't you all do this when we were at the school? So, it creates a positive buzz and has some things going from there as well. This cafeteria is the same cafeteria. They went from 3 lunch shifts to 2 lunch shifts. So we had to find more rooms. So we literally knocked out a wall and increase the seating in that area so we can have more student bodies in seats as well. We transitioned to another school. We did 2 schools and over the summer that had heavy construction and seating. They had extended another school where they went from 3 lunch shifts to 2 lunch shifts. So we literally took this space and turned it into a dining area. As you can see back there, we actually installed windows where the brick wall used to be at. Did the window film on there and put the cafeterias all together, added televisions, and went from there as well. So it was something that was going really well for that school district. Another image is again from here. They only had 3 certain lines. We turned into 6. So we added some doors in. Again, this is not the typical construction, typical install. The director just wanted to open it up and try to do the best they can. They had some additional funds. So we just want to show them how to appropriate it and get it going as well. So that's just another look at the cafeteria and how everything kind of played out. So one of the most important things, again, is the data, right? So we want to make sure that you have an increase in your investment, return on your investment. So Capitol Hill High School was the first one with the wolf, the red and black school. They had a 5% increase in breakfast, 15% increase in lunch. Literally the next week, in Northwest Class, they had 20% increase in breakfast and then a 27% increase in lunch. And the sales has sustained since that. And some of the schools, some of the data has went up as well. So when you go through these different projects, you just look at the whole around picture of the aesthetics. Okay, how it's going to change the dynamics of the students' morale, how it's going to increase your revenue, how we're going to try to increase your throughput. So when you do a seating, how can we get additional point of sales to get more students eating, right? So I go back to my Walt Disney World days is when we had a lot of point of sale carts in the park. Well, if you didn't want a full meal or a quick service meal, you could go to a cart and pick anything off a cart and just continue your sales and keep on going. So it's all really about how you want to go about doing those things and going from there. So I'm going to turn this back over to Steve and, really just talk about, how strong the partnership is and with Meteor and just AmTab. And we just look forward to hopefully working in your school district and kind of going from there.
Kearn, this is Kim. I have a question because I know we kind of breezed over the slide, but I was standing there when we were talking to one of the food service workers from the Lee County project, and it really made an impact on me because she said she was so excited about this. She wasn't a student, but she worked in the cafeteria, and she said, we feel like part of the school now, like we're part of something really exciting. And it always stuck with me because my friend is in food service and at a school, and they did a emergency drill, like a fire drill or whatever. They evacuated everyone from the school, and they forgot the cafeteria. And it was so hurtful to the people that worked there. They didn't feel like they were part of the school. So I think that was kind of sort of a benefit maybe that you wouldn't think about with some of these projects, is just school pride all through the building and the community is what I heard you say, which was really cool. So anyway, and so Steve, also maybe we want to talk just a little bit about, we're probably all getting tired of talking about the new normal, but in terms of some of these spaces that we've looked at, thinking to ahead, maybe having smaller populations of kids or spacing them differently, cleaning them. What are your thoughts on that as well? Because I think, it's something that as we go back to school, we're probably going to have to address in some way.
Yeah, do you want me to address that or Steve?
Go ahead, Kearn. If you want
Either
to start.
one. How about both?
I'll start, and while I'm talking, Steve, I'm gonna transfer the screen over to you so you can get set up, and you can kind of go from there. So it's definitely gonna be a new normal, right? A lot of people are talking about doing what we're doing right now, virtual trade shows, and just seeing how we can get students to build that confidence back up. And that's the first thing, is that yes, we can get past this COVID-19, but how long is it going to take to build confidence up, right? So for me, when everything is great, I travel extensively, right? I'm barely home maybe 2 or 3 days a week. But I was telling my wife, like, I'm going to be thinking twice about traveling as much right now to really take some time. I was on a conference call today with one of the aviation authorities, and they were saying that it's going to probably take about 5 years just to build consumer confidence and the food and beverage side up and the retail side up is just going. Now in schools, I know it's not going to take that long, but it's definitely going to have to be some awareness. It's going to be some training, and just people are just going to have to really adapt to what's going on right now and just seeing how they can go about going this. And Steve, you can take it from there as well.
Yeah, and absolutely something that we're keeping in mind, and we're trying to keep a pulse on it. The word social distancing has been used often, and we really like to look at it as not social distancing. We like to look at it as physical distancing. Socially, we still want to stay very well connected. If anyone's feeling socially distant, call me after this presentation. Love to chat with you. You have somebody here, Meteor, AmTab, ICC. So that's part of what we're trying to think about, is how do we maintain physical spacing a little bit better in our designs and so on and so forth. And we are going to have to include some of this stuff. We're still at the very beginning of what something like that might look like, whether it's more spaced out seating, more pod style approach to things, and so on and so forth. So I think that I do want to mention we are going to, as a country, as a nation, as a global citizen, we are going to get through this. It's definitely a challenging time, but we're going to come back better, and I'm very confident in moving forward once we get past this flattening the curve. But for our purposes, we are going to have to revisit and look at some of those things, and we don't know exactly what that's going to look like right now. But I would say definitely more spacing in pod styles and so on and so forth, and that'll be included in our designs a little bit more depending on how things look tomorrow versus today.
Great. And you can add any questions if you have around that topic in the chat.
So, I mean, in conclusion, just wanted to say thanks to Meteor for hosting us. Definitely a great partner of ours, and to the districts and attendees. Always, these are school districts and Meteor team members, and I know Kern's been up here, but we definitely welcome a visit together, whether it's at Sukasa or Mikasa. We'd love to come out there and visit with you
You
all
do
as
a
well.
virtual
Yeah,
Chicago isn't as good without the pizza, though.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's one
So,
thing.
mhm. So,
Anyway, we wanted to leave a little bit of time for you to ask your questions or to chat. Just, this is our first trade show, Zoom trade show. So, hopefully afterwards you won't mind if my bird says no more virtual trade shows. But, hopefully afterwards, if I can reach out and find out, what's a good, what did you like? What do you want to see again? What can we, what time frame, all those sort of things, so that we can make this meaningful time. Because I don't know about you, but during this time I've developed a kind of quite an online shopping habit, although I really shouldn't be spending any money. And but I just, without actually seeing something, like I find like I don't want to, it doesn't appeal to me. But when so I want to sort of for us to kind of repeat that experience of seeing new things and so that you can kind of start to incorporate those into your idea board. And post this call, we have learning environment specialists. I know one of the participants had reached out before with a few questions about elementary, but also about budget. It's likely that we're going to be on reduced budgets going back. And one of the things our learning environment specialists can do is kind of help you come up with like a good, better, best scenario for your project. So, entry level, mid level, and just pie in the sky. If we had everything, this is what we would want. So that's one of the services that we can do. And also, Kearn is available to come out. I mean, he can do professional development sessions with your team. I've heard him talk about just the simple fact of training the service workers to learn students' names and greet them by name when they come to the cafeteria. What a difference that can make for kids, showing up, knowing that the cafeteria is a place that is home for them instead of kind of a alienating experience like it was for me when I was young. So it's exciting. It makes us wish we could go back to school. So
if I can say a couple things real quick.
Yep.
Time.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of my things that, my title for my company is called a chief innovator, right? And people are using the terminology like new normal. And I get what it might say, but I don't want everybody to fall into what's the new normal, right? Because sometimes we get into that, well, I'm just going to follow what everyone is doing. And sometimes when you follow everybody is doing, it's not necessarily the correct thing to do. Yes, we need to wash our hands. Yes, we need to get things going. But I think at the same time, you run a business, right? At the end of the day, the school food service department is a business and they have to generate revenue from those federal dollars. So you have to look at too as well. It's like, okay, how can I spend some income to make sure that I can still satisfy my customers? Because you think about it, after we come out of this, McDonald's, Chipotle, whatever QSR restaurants, table service, they're coming out guns blazing, right? So if they're going to be ahead of you and making sure they provide a service or some kind of something to their customers, how's that going to affect your customers that are at school? And if we stay behind and trying to play it safe when it comes to whether it be remodeling, would it be the training your staff, whatever it can be, you still have to be on the cutting edge and don't lose that edge. Right now, you have virtual training that can be done. Your staff so a lot of staffs are getting paid. Partner with some of your companies and figure out if it's whatever platform you want to use, that they should be checking in at least once a week and doing some kind of 15-minute something, right? Because you want to make sure that you're staying in sync. Because right now we have, I call it a lot of, well, let's use an analogy for Steve, right? He said at Chicago Bulls, if you're not taking any jump shots right now, you can't be ready for the season when it starts. And so, as you know, at school food service, that season goes really quick. And so if you miss that first and second quarter and you try to come out at halftime and maybe a third or fourth quarter time and now you're ready to play, well, by that time, you're going to be winded and the other team's going to beat you. So we want to make sure that you continue to take your reps, practice for what you're doing, and kind of go from there as well.
Yep, I think that's a great point. If you want to give me your screen, I have some contact information that I was going to, like kind of a final a final slide for us too. So that was our greeting slide. And it's not letting me advance. So I'll just do it this way. So that's, so we love trade shows so much that we do our own internal trade show, actually. So, and believe me, it's 3 days and we stop at every manufacturer and learn and get to know them. So it makes me smile because it's fun. And I noticed that in this picture, Kearn is really rocking those red pants. I mean, they are very cool and really goes well with the purple name badge. So anyway, so if you'd like to contact me with questions, we'll make sure to put you in touch with a learning environment specialist from your area. We can put you in touch with Kearn. You know, we're here to be a support for you, and we appreciate you taking the time.